So, what do you do if you slip up? We've talked quite a bit about the fact that you've got a strong internal saboteur. It has lots of tools and techniques to trip you up, from telling you how wonderful your life used to be when you were drinking through to suggesting that taking time off from drinking is terrible and that you've given up now anyway. And there are two things about this. Firstly, you need to recognise what it is that your inner critic said, your inner saboteur said last night or this afternoon or this morning when you actually went and had a drink, and work out what it was that tipped the balance and made you have a drink. The second is to not give in to the critic that's going in your head now. Well, you've given up now, so you may as well not bother for the rest of the month. Or, well, you weren't any good at it anyway. Or, well, deep down you knew you'd never manage a month. Because it's there nagging away and needling at you. And you need to challenge it and say, well, actually, I did 2 weeks in a row and I slipped up, but if I do another 2 weeks, that's still the longest I've been without a drink. Or, actually, I can get back on it today and it's just one slip up. And so you need to work hard to challenge your inner critic.
Yeah, and you can think about it as like a science experiment, and you don't just give up on the experiment if you get one false measurement or whatever. You just carry on and
in fact,
see what happens.
You will learn a lot from knowing what it is that the inner critic did last night or your external saboteur did last night to slip you up. So see it as part of a learning process. I do think that changing your drinking is a marathon and not a sprint. You'll learn a lot about yourself on the way, but if it happened perfectly first time, then more of us would be doing it and less of us would be talking about. There wouldn't even be a word for falling off the wagon.
True.
You also need to reward yourself. Often our first response to having slipped up at something is to punish ourselves. Oh, well, I will go and wallow in self-pity for hours on end, or
spend 6 hours on the gym.
Yeah, I'll do extra at the gym tomorrow, or I'll only eat a lettuce leaf. That's my punishment for having failed. When actually you need to go, well, hang on a minute, I need to look after myself. I need to take care of myself. I need to nurture myself so that I feel happy, and that will make it more likely I will get back on the wagon and carry on the rest of the month. So find ways to reward yourself, nurture yourself, relax, de-stress. That may be going to the gym for some people, but don't go for 6 hours. It might be a bath, it might be reading a book, it might be, organising a night out with someone last minute that you'd really like to spend time with. Whatever it is, reward yourself. Take care of yourself.
But having said that, punishment is also a recognized behavior change technique.
Oh.
Within acceptable limits.
How do we punish ourselves then?
Well, I mean, you know what's best for you. So if going to the gym for a bit makes it less likely that you'll slip again, then maybe it works for you.
Who knew that I would be good cop and he would be bad cop? It's also important to ditch the idea that we have to somehow be perfect. Unless it's 100% perfect, we shouldn't bother. Oh, well, I haven't done 100% of a whole month off drinking, so therefore I failed, and therefore I will just go back to drinking. What other place in the world is 100% achievable? It isn't. So stop giving yourself a perfection target of 100%.
And in Islamic art, they do this elaborate, really fantastic drawings, but somewhere in the corner they make one false move. And that's always because there's nothing perfect on earth. Only God can be perfect, so they have to make a little mistake in every painting, which I think is a really nice idea.
So don't set yourself such an unachievably high bar that the minute you break it, by maybe having a drink the night before, that you feel that you waste it. Can you imagine how, if you've gone 2-3 weeks without a drink, and this is somebody on our boot camp this week, they said they had one small glass of champagne at a celebration and they felt they had failed. And I would say that if you give up the whole of the 2 or 3 weeks of effort you've put in and feeling discomfort just because of one small glass of champagne, then that's a real shame. So carry on, pick up where you left up, dust yourself down, start all over again. And as we said, reflecting on what it was that triggered you is probably quite useful.
Yeah, because you can learn a lot from those moments.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why it still amazes me that I didn't fall off the wagon. And I think there are two reasons why I don't think I've fallen off the wagon. One is because my partner at the time gave up drinking, and I saw them fall off the wagon, and it was really quite hideous. And so I didn't want to go there. It frightened me. So seeing somebody else's lack of perfectionism and slip up did it for me. And the other is, I guess I've always had I haven't gone too hardcore on whether I've got wine in my cooking or if I have a dessert that might have a bit of alcohol in, which I guess is my way of not going for 100% perfection. I guess I don't have such a high bar that it's impossible to reach. And maybe
you can't really be a fundamentalist about this because our bodies produce alcohol.
Yes.
Every human has a little bit of alcohol in it already.
2 units. It's 2 units
Per day.
So yes.
If you have a little bit of sherry trifle, I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah. And for me, that may be
not because of the alcohol. I worry about the sherry trifle on other grounds, but
I would worry about the cream and the custard.
Mostly the cream. Yeah.
It's not English, you know. And then build a new battle plan. You've learnt some stuff. You can say, right, actually, going out with so-and-so is a really bad idea because they're not going to leave off. Or going out with so-and-so at this location, at this time of day, at this time of week, like we used to, isn't on anymore. Or I gave in to my inner critic that said that, I'd had a hard day, so I deserved it. Now, wasn't that silly? What should I do when that happens again? Your battle plan has now got a whole new load of data in order for you to make it more effective as you go forward.
And I guess often probably the person who had a champagne at the celebration, it sort of happens without you even realizing. Someone puts a glass in your hand and you just have a little sip and there you are.
Your intention wasn't to drink.
So you didn't mean to, but yeah, it was an instinct. So
yeah,
it happens.